Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back after the tea break. Hello, can we have your attention, please? Yeah. For a simple session, simple session, we are going to break this activity for a while. Sorry for that, because with a lot of difficulties, we were able to invite another eminent professor in the field of software engineering and particularly AI, right? I'm sure you met him before, but if not, please let me introduce him. This is Professor Roshan Ragel from University of Peradeniya. He is the Chief Executive Officer, CE of our LEARN, Lanka Education and Research Network, similar to your NREN. This is our boss in Sri Lankan LEARN, LENRN, Lanka Education and Research Network. So he has a diverse background, and with the introduction of AI, we started discussing about these things, and we thought, okay, how can we bring this idea forward? So thanks to them, I also started learning AI. I am here because of them, because they have so many grants on popularizing AI, and they invited us to get trained from different faculties. So that's how agriculture person came into AI work. Otherwise, I didn't have any background of having AI. And currently, Professor Roshan Ragel is the director of the Staff Development Center, which is the place for academic staff training in the whole university of Peradeniya. Not only Peradeniya, he's going around the country to supporting all the universities in the country, not only state universities, even the private universities or non-state universities. He's a very popular resource person on these. So get the maximum out of him. May I kindly request all of you to turn your chairs towards the screen. You will have so much of information during this session. Please, once again, make sure you turn your chairs. Be comfortable in front of a table. If you want, you can take down notes as well. This session title, yeah. Okay, yeah. The session will be on responsible use of AI, right? Responsible use of AI, ethical use of AI, which is now a big topic in the discussion. So I'm sure you will enjoy this. Over to you, Professor Roshan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and very good morning, everyone. Let's start the session with a small video clip.
I am a visionary.
Sound, can you check? Maybe.
Sharpening understanding of extreme weather events. Happy world.
Thinking of going to the store.
Speak. Sure. Transforming. Harnessing gravity to store revenue. Trainer. Robots to assist. Watch out for danger. How? Save lives. I am healer. Providing a new generation of healers. The new roles of patient care. Is it still geared to medications? Definitely. These antibiotics don't contain penicillin, so it's perfectly safe for you to take. I am not good. Generating ritual scenarios. To let us safely explore the real world. Understand every decision. I even help write the script. Breathe life into the words. En muchos idiomas. Y escribí música. AI. Brought to life by NVIDIA. Deep learning. Brilliant minds. Everywhere.
I'm sure you have understood the importance of AI and you decided to spend a couple of days of your professional life here with us. It's also a testament that you are thinking about it seriously. Like in the video, it talks about starting from making music. In fact, the whole video, the music composition for the background is made by an AI tool called IVA. It's all made by AI. And then on top of it, yes, human played it. In fact, like one of the most popular orchestra in the world, the London Symphony played the music, but it was scripted or composed by AI. So starting from there, self-driving cars, training robots, doing teaching, learning, research, healthcare applications, all sort of different places is where AI is now applied in one form or the other. But at the same time, it's so important that we understand how AI changes our world. At the same time, how we can make the use of AI responsible. So therefore, the topic responsible AI. Right? So everywhere we use a tool or a technology, in a situation where now we think a tool that has its own agency, it can make decisions for us. It can help us navigate things and so on. So we'll have to figure out how we can keep that responsibility, right? So who is responsible for actions that are taken? And are we aware of such responsibility? So that's what we are talking about. So it doesn't matter whether you are like a novice who has no idea anything about AI and you just started using AI since very recently when it became popular, where you are just looking at AI awareness or literacy, the basics also have responsibility. From there to people who are building AI systems, they also have to take responsibility at different levels. So we will see some of the examples and situations how responsible AI is something that is important. So this is what I'm going to do. I'll do a quick intro to AI. In fact, I will really skim through it very fast because you have been here and you have using AI for a while in different ways and forms. But I'll spend more time on understanding the challenges, so general challenges, and how we can use AI in a responsible way to navigate those challenges. And because we are going to talk about challenges and navigating them, it's not so nice that you are here to learn about AI and how to use them. We'll also look at some positive engagement, and with that, I'll conclude. So that's the plan. So why responsibility matter, I already just have highlighted a bit. But to expand it on more, like now, if you take productivity, anything that you do, like on a computer, day-to-day work, AI systems can make things faster, amplification, right? So the estimate is that generally these systems can do 2 to 3 times faster, right? Yes, sometimes you might wonder, they can do 100 to 200, 500,000 times faster, right? So if I want an email to be generated 2-page long, I can ask it and it can do it in seconds when I take hours, right? So that's like 100,000 times faster. But to start, that is not a responsible use of AI, right? So the whole idea why it is 2 to 3 times faster is that, yes, you can use these tools to make things faster, but you still have to go through them. You'll have to take that responsibility to correct and make sure things are okay, right? So it is only 2 to 3 times faster properly using, right? So when these are 2 to 3 times faster, at the same time, if it can do something bad, that also can be done 2 to 3 times faster, right? So the negative side of it can also be done 2 to 3 times faster. We started seeing a lot of such examples, right? So by the way, I'm not against AI systems. I hope you understood that. Chalinda was introducing me like we are trying so hard to bring AI system to use, but at the same time, we also have to understand its limitations, its challenges, its problems, so that we can use it properly. That's the whole idea of responsibility. So amplification effect is a problem. It's a good thing, at the same time, it's also a bad thing, because bad things can also be amplified. So it can have, when you, like I mentioned earlier, because AI systems are now can take what we call agency, meaning they can take decisions, they can do things on their own, not like some other tool. For example, a tool like this, I'm using a tool like this to control the presentation, but I decide when to use it, right? It's very different from some systems that you can put. For example, a simple system we put to this room where depends on the temperature, humidity, we control the air condition. Where I don't decide, right? So it depends on how many people are here, we can control the light. So things that happens on its own, where decisions are made by, not by us specifically, right? So if we make it, depends on the data, depends on. So there are critical impact that are going to go. Beyond the usual technical problem, there is also other metrics, things like I mentioned already, right? So healthcare and various other applications, where other issues like privacy, right, which we normally are very oblivious about. Particularly countries like let's say, for the sake of this discussion, South Asia, South Asian countries, we are very much on a trusted culture, a circular culture, a culture where we trust our friends, our extended family. Our extended family knows everything about us, our private life, what sort of disease I have, what is my sugar level, what's my pressure, everybody knows. So that sort of a culture is where we live. When we live in a culture like that, which is different from the global North culture, where things are more limited, privacy, we don't take it so seriously, right? So when a tool with agency come into this picture, we might consider this tool as our extended family. When we do it, we are losing, because these tools have access, these tools are getting access from outside, and they are built by other people, and they can be shared, the data that is here can be shared by others, can be used and so on, and used for training, various other things. So privacy is a serious problem in general, but more for us because of the way how we conduct our life, our culture. That's also one other issue. And responsibility, like I said, responsible AI is what I'm talking about. So who is responsible when these systems fail? So usually, I'm not sure how many of you here are people who build AI systems or teach AI systems. Can you raise your hand? Those who build or use AI, teach AI systems? Very few. Others are users mostly, right? So those who are building and teaching, what we have done right now, what has happened in the last, I hope you know, AI systems have been there for the last 75 years. At least the concept, and different tools, different technologies have been built. And now it has become everybody's tool. Everyone can use, starting from OpenAI releasing ChatGPT, it has become just a common popular thing. And there are so many new tools has come out, right? With that so much reach, right now the designers or the builders, what we have said is, here is a tool and it's your responsibility to use it properly, right? So the responsibility is given to the user. Right? So what we are saying, the users have to take the responsibility. You do whatever you want. It's up to you. Use it. These are the risks. These risks are written maybe in fine print in some places, right? Use it. It's fun, use it. It's useful, use it. That's what we are saying. But when you do this, the designers are passing that responsibility to the user without giving enough interfaces, enough ways in which the users can take and understand the responsibility and use it effectively. For example, when you are just dragging and uploading a file, the system is going to tell you, careful, this file, when you upload, what is going to happen to this file? What can we do with this file? By the way, if you go and look at the terms and conditions, it's all printed, right? But when it is uploaded in the interface, it's not, right? So that's just an example, right? So these files, or whatever you type, or whatever the photos you put, all these are going to be used in other situations, other places, particularly for training. So this responsibility has to be shared. It's not just the user, but also the designers have to think further and look at how the users are more informed about the product they are building. Right? So that we are in a transition period, and these things are happening slowly. Countries are taking responsibilities and putting laws and systems, data protection acts and whatnot. So these are happening, but slowly. So that's another area we have to worry about. I will skip these slides. I think yesterday you had enough of what AI is and different systems. Generative AI is one of them, and different things the generative AI tools can do. And like I said, the idea about AI or machines, whether they can have some sort of intelligence, started way back. In fact, apparently apparently Alan Turing, who first thought about machines can have intelligence and designed Turing test. He released his seminal paper in 1950, but he started thinking about it in 1942. And since then, John McCarthy, who named this machine intelligence as artificial intelligence, AI, in 1955, since then a lot of things have happened, right? The current form of the deep learning and the type of technology that we are using is coming from 2010s late. 2017 was when AlphaGo, I think Sita would have talked about it as well. AlphaGo, which is built by a company called DeepMind and then acquired by Google. So they did this Go game, which we thought will never, a machine will win, won the Go champion, then Go champion in 2016. The same company later built AlphaFold, and AlphaFold is a protein folding software, which is based on deep learning. And the Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 2024, the highest prize in science, chemistry in this case, was given to a tool or a system that was built using machine learning. So this is where we have gone, starting from games, thinking as a concept, in classrooms, to systems that can change the whole world. Right? So that sort of impact is what we are having, right? And as you also might know, the usage of these systems, particularly tools like ChatGPT, has reached so much as we speak. Every week we are told there is about 300 million users using these tools, ChatGPT-like platform every day, right? So this is just 1 million users. How long ChatGPT took to reach? In 2022, it just reached 1 million users in 5 days compared to the other tools that we already know. 1 million users is a small number. Like I said, now it's about 300 million. And at the same time, these tools are also individually doing better than people. So here is a graph to show individual tasks. These tools over time are doing better than people. The line there at the top, the 100% human performance is how good people can do, or average person can do a task. If you take the yellow color one, image recognition, recognizing what's in an image, people were doing well since 2009. We started building AI tools, or we started learning, making machines to learn. And by 2025, 2026, with the deep learning, we are able to do, now machines can do better on average in benchmarks than people. Right? So you can see things are getting better, reading comprehension, understanding language, generating code. This was prepared by the Stanford AI Index report. The latest AI report from last year, they'll be releasing one this year soon. This is from the 2025 report. The numbers are up to 2024. You can see even PhD level science questions, the blue color one, they started experimenting with some benchmarks in 2023. By 2024, those AI tools can do better than people. So these are individual tools. Individual tools can do better, not as a collection. But with this, we also had to be careful that, okay, we are running these systems against benchmarks, and therefore we are saying, okay, these tools can do better. But at the same time, we also had to know, like, these are individual tools, not like a collective thing. But then we are also talking about collective things. So there is a website which tracks what's going to happen to AI in the next few years. I think the website is called AI 2027. And they talk about the next level where a single AI system can do all of this together, right? And then whether it can do better than every human being in the world put together, right? So these are things that are predicted and happening. But let's take a step back and look at what the students are doing. Like this is a report coming from ChatGPT. This was released in 2024 based on a study they did out of, I think the numbers were somewhere here, I think it's missing. Out of some 20,000 students, they have asked these students who are using ChatGPT, where are you using it? And so the number one, you can see students, they are claiming they are using it for brainstorming. Second one, summarizing, research assistance, academic writing, study assistant, translating, personal assistant, and it goes on. And the two bars, or the two numbers here in each item, one is the percentage of students, like out of the 20,000, about 1/3, 29%, about 10,000 students claim brainstorming is their first item, actually top two items for them. And the other number in X is their perception of how fast they can do these tasks. How fast, right? The second number. So you can see the second number is between 2 to 3, right? So at least the top 10 items, right? So 1.9 times to 2.76 times. This is the perception from those students. So these are our students, learners, how they perceive these tools are used. Actually, this study was done across some 100-odd countries, because ChatGPT-like platform have access to users using it in different across the world. Right, so it's a global study, and it's published in a very good, the +1 journal, which is considered a good journal. So these are things that are already happening. But then we will see what the challenges we are facing with this. Let me show a small video before I go into challenges and scare you with some numbers there. Oops, sorry, that's my bad.
Isn't life about what we experience, what we smell,
Yes, dragon fruits are low in sugar.
what we hear?
Hey, what should we do?
What we see? If we build more memories, Sharing more moments. Happen if we rediscover our senses. Devices when the experience. What if life was?
So that's how these tools and systems can be part of our day-to-day life. How seamless they can get integrated. In fact, like the company called Human, I have nothing to do with them. And by the way, they have already bankrupt, but that's a different story. They started too early. In 2023, this company started integrating ChatGPT's API, OpenAI, into a small pin type device, and they started selling this for about $900, and not many people were interested, right? So it didn't work in the first go, but it's an interesting idea because it goes beyond what we think, right? So because it's something that we are, and we don't have a mobile phone anymore, and it gets integrated so much that you can just talk to it, you can take photos and whatnot, the usual, the most common thing that you do with a phone. But also it's connected to ChatGPT, similar to Apple or other companies trying Siri, like Apple tried to connect to ChatGPT, didn't go that well. So the different things that are happening. So this is a tool like that, but it's how you can imagine how these sort of tools can get integrated to our day-to-day life. Translating, talking, it's just part of us sort of. Right? So these are things that takes us one more time to, or make us one more time to think how important it is to think about the responsible use of these tools and technology. So let me run through the challenges we are facing, right? So we are in a country where we can't start without the social concerns, right? So, like even when digital transformation, internet, computers, they came into our life, we made ourselves more divided, right? So the population, those who don't have access to these, those who are lower in the income level and whatnot, had more problems than those who, so the digital divide we call it. So basically unequal access. And with that, digital literacy divide. And these are social concerns, although there are a lot of things planned, discussed about. Example, what I'm putting here is a framework that was built by, I think, UNESCO, I can't exactly remember the source, on sustainable education, right? So how we can bridge the gap is what was the diagram is about, where they are talking about open education resources, human-centric AI tools, Wikipedia-like platforms. I hope you know, like platforms like Wikipedia. Recently, we are hearing a lot of news about how rigged a system like Wikipedia is. Now, if you are reasonably popular, you get emails saying, okay, we can make your Wikipedia page for $1,000, right? So there's enough and more the system, because Wikipedia is supposed to be like a community-driven system where you have so many community-driven editors. I think you are familiar with this, the blogger named Nas Daily, and he has put a post recently saying like, okay, somebody has completely ruined his Wikipedia page, people coming together and going against him and so on, right? So there are things that are happening. So these sort of platforms are put or considered to be ways in which we can avoid unequal access and improve digital divide, make digital divide go, which is like, yeah. So these sort of things is the first concern we have, right? A session like what we are doing here, where BDREN and others are coming together, bringing people together, those who are in the education research sector, and educating and discussing, having that conversation about these tools and responsibilities is part of bridging this or doing something about the social concern, right? So that's one serious problem. More problems are coming in the form of things like over-reliance. Thank you. So risk of over-reliance, right? So I hope you are familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect. The idea is that the less you know about a tool, the more you trust it, right? So for example, If you take, in fact, this graph is drawn for ChatGPT, right? So the knowledge of ChatGPT over time of someone will obviously improve. But when you start using ChatGPT, what happens is it is a tool that did thing in the past, let's say 2022, 2023, when you saw it, wow, it can do all these things I had never thought it will do, right? Then what you say, what people think is that, okay, so these tools can do everything, right? And which is a bad thing, right? So that's the starting point. You can see, we'll say, okay, confidence level in ChatGPT is so high, right? But over time, with training, with understanding, with use, you come through this valley where you realize what the tool can really do. So when you realize what a tool can really do, obviously you can do better with the tool, but you always have that caution now because you have gone through this curve. So every learning process has to go through this curve. The idea of me having sessions like this is to make sure everyone go through this curve and making sure they are at the right place at stage 5, not at stage 1 and ruin the whole thing, right? So the over-reliance can bring other issues because these tools have all these limitations. Lack of, they are not really good at logical reasoning yet. They can have misinformation. Why so is because they can just still, although we have been trying so hard, those who are designing and building these tools and training these tools are trying so hard to avoid things like hallucination, they are still out there, right? So they can hallucinate and connect two different things together which has no connection to each other. For example, in terms of data or in terms of knowledge, we have knowledge of creative writing. We have knowledge of healthcare. If you put knowledge of creative writing and healthcare together, you can treat people using creative writing ideas, right? Stories, right? So these sort of things can happen. Those are considered hallucination. Right? So there are so many ways in which these things are now getting compartmentalized and solved, but these are still problems. And there are problems related to outdated and biased data because training these systems are very expensive and take a lot of time. And a lot of time and money, actually, mainly money. I hope you know ChatGPT claims for doing a single training, or OpenAI claims to do a single training is cost them more than $100 million. For a full training, more than $100 million. That is where tools like DeepSeek came and said, no, we can do it in $5 million. $5 million, not like $5,000, right? So that's how much money it takes. And therefore, we can't keep training all the time. Therefore, the things that these tools are going to give you is not up to date because we don't do training every other day. And there are also concerns related to be losing important skills like learning, critical thinking, and whatnot by using these tools, right? So AI hallucination, I hope those who have used these tools would have understood this and faced it, right? So the point about hallucination is these tools know too much information from a lot of different places. And therefore, when you know too much information from a lot of different places, it's possible for you to fake. It's easy for you to fake that, right? So these tools can fake easily. So fabricated authority, they can bring and say, no, this is correct because of this and this and this. So if you don't have ways of going and checking those whether they are correct, then you are in trouble. And it also can bring other issues like operational risk. So it's more on fluency. So, like those who are teachers here would know, those who write answer scripts nicely in good handwriting get better marks than those who really write facts and information, right? So now these tools can write very good English or very good any language, so polished, and therefore they get better. So these are confidence related. Privacy, I already mentioned, right? So privacy concerns, I already mentioned a few, and there are, as you might know, there are even court cases against companies like OpenAI and Microsoft. This is from Times. So these sort of things are all happening because, and even a lot of others are happening, right? So, but coming out of things like things like, people thinking who is writing things, privacy, these are not easy as well. There are a lot of challenges around it because data and whose ownership data is and who writes, who has the copyright and so on. What we have are designed when people only were generating information and data. People were writing things, and copyright is for people. Now the tools can generate, and therefore who are the authors, and whether there's something like AI generated content is plagiarism is also a problem. These are things that we are navigating through these days and learning how to resolve. And certain things are already done, certain things are still happening. So those are issues. And in fact, things like plagiarism is more problem, particularly in countries like ours. When I say ours, I'm talking about non-native English-speaking countries. This is again coming from a paper, just to show you some numbers. So what this report shows you, actually, there are two graphs. I don't know how clear it is for you. Just to give you a summary, what this study has done is it has taken two sets of written content, one from grade 8 English essays from the US, other from TOEFL essays, right? So the TOEFL essays, which are written by people, as you might know, it's controlled exam, no AI. TOEFL essays were identified by all these different tools as AI generated in the red color. TOEFL essays. The English class, like grade 8 US student essays, are identified by the smaller percentage, which is correct, right? So you can see what these tools are doing. These tools are also getting trained from proper English writing and non-proper English writing. We are all aliens and AI, right? So that's how these tools are. So that's one side. On the other side, these tools can also, we can, use these tools to cheat the tools that identify AI use. Right? So it's possible for us to tell ChatGPT or Gemini or whatnot, make sure what you write is humanized, right? Make sure the other tools won't pick it. And it can do. So it can improve. In fact, it can improve by about, so you can see here, this is another study that was done. Originally, the percentage of AI, this is actually AI generated content. First time it identified about 70%. After you keep on telling the AI tool to make it better, it's gone down to 30. Right? So these are things that are researched and figured out. And just to quote Sam Altman on the same item, there may be ways we can help teachers be a little more likely to detect output of ChatGPT-like system, but a determined person will get around it. So it's always possible for us to use this system if you want to cheat. Right? So if somebody is asked you to not to use this, and so those are challenges we are navigating through. Not just these, there are more challenges. Remember, I'm still talking about challenges. There are more challenges. I'll talk a few things about the sustainability challenges. You know, like we are trying to solve world's sustainability challenges for a while. United Nations one, and we are trying to solve it. We had it as Millennium Challenges, and we couldn't solve it by millennia. And then we are now putting a 2030 as our timeline, and we think we can do that as well. But these are going to be in certain ways accelerated by AI. That's what I was going to just tell you. One, I hope you have heard this, very much relevant to things like what's happening in APAN, infrastructure related. So now AI systems are using infrastructure, or the power infrastructure here, power that is similar to certain countries. And there are predictions. This is coming from, Gardner. So they are talking about AI system will get limited by power. So if you will not have enough power to expand or grow the rapid growth of AI system unless you figure out a new power source. Right? So those are challenges related to power, which also means data centers consume so much power. Power is a concern we have on sustainability. So that's one problem. Just to compare, so this I took from a report from OpenAI. So to generate a 100-word email by GPT-4, now we use 5.2, GPT-4, it consumes 140 watts hour power, or 0.14 kilowatts, to generate 100-word email, 100-word text basically. A 100-word text consume power equal to running 14 LED bulbs for 1 hour, right? 14 LED bulbs for 1 hour, that's the estimate. That is how much power we need to generate a 100-word email. Think about generating a 1,000-word document, right? So it's a lot of power that's consumed for doing these things. So this is only for generating. We are not talking about training systems, which I said like it costs about $100+ million. Regarding power, there are also, the next thing about the data centers is cooling, right? So cooling is another serious problem. There are numbers here, how much water we need. This is coming from World Economic Forum. Again, I'll just talk about the ChatGPT number and go to the next one. So the same email or the document, 100-word document, for cooling the data centers, it requires about half bottle of water, right? So every time you generate a 100-word document, the cooling system needs about half a liter or 1 bottle of water. Right, so those are things. This is from GPT-4. The numbers might be a bit improved with later versions of the tools, but these are big numbers. And also for training, things like carbon footprint generation, there is big numbers. You can compare, there's a comparison between things like aeroplane use and different other things. This is for training, right? Not for individual use. Like I told you, for training, we spend a lot of money. Like I told you, it's in hundreds of millions of dollars for a single full training. And the numbers are at the top. You can see GPT-3 with 175 billion parameters. It's about half or 500 tons of carbon dioxide emission. Right? So these are things that are on the sustainability side. So when you are talking about responsibility, we also have to talk about the responsibility we have on the whole world and other systems like sustainability. More, I hope by now you are like enough frustrated and decided, okay, we'll not never use these systems. So electronic waste, as you know, all these data centers now are fighting for the most popular AI chips, and those chips are getting outdated so fast. Now the cycle for these supercomputing centers, data centers, about 2 to 3 years. So then we had to figure out a way to do something about those chips that are no longer used. So electronic waste, waste-related problems. I don't have to go into detail, but those are more challenges. So I have put enough and more challenges in front of you regarding the use of these tools. And what do we do about it? Let me just run through a few the positive side of all this and why we are still having hope and having sessions like this where we can discuss this, right? Before I go there, let me just play one more video and you just keep listening to me. This is another tool. I have one of these in my office as well.
This is what I want. This is what I need.
The device that brings your smartphone to life elevates the desktop experience to a whole new level. Making full use of your smartphone's hardware and our built-in sensors, we can fully sense his surroundings. Sometimes he's a bit mischievous, but he knows where the boundaries are. He oversteps, but no. Take a break. Besides interacting with you, also enjoys some occasional alone time. You can try grabbing Louis' attention, but don't provoke him, or he will fight back. You can ask him to tell you a joke. The ChatGPT generated jokes never repeat. Just relax and enjoy time with your new gaming buddy. With Louis, you'll discover countless precious moments you might have missed in the past. But automatically select the best angle and capture the memory. He's very responsive to hand gestures. Transforms into a wireless charger for your phone when you're concentrating on other stuff. It keeps reminding you of important information. Sometimes Lou can get a little scary. Gentle touch to make him feel safe and secure. with your loved ones is now possible. You can remote control Newell and explore the world from his perspective. And even send animations with hand gestures. Rapid, precious, ephemeral moments are now kept by him. Every interaction makes Louis more attuned to you. Ultimately, each Louis becomes unique to you. Hey, Louis, I guess we'll be stuck here for a bit longer. With our advanced biomimetic behavior engine and ChatGPT integration, this is endless delightful interactions that keep you engaged. He's a whimsical little desktop robot, no avatar, gaming component, wireless charger, and more. Your phone has always had a soul. It's now time to give it a body. Say hello to Louis.
So that's again another tool. In fact, like these people were a little more smart because they just built a mobile app and then put it on a, on a magnetic small robo, and the robo and the app together is cheaper here. It's about $150. And so they have built this. So you can see how these sort of tools are now getting even just an app which is connected to ChatGPT, coming into picture and interacting with people and being part of a working desktop, a working desk. Let me move on. So I'm going to now talk, like I said, what I'm going to talk about is how we can navigate these challenges. I mentioned a few things while I was talking earlier as well, but there are more, right? So for example, one of the things from the education perspective, what UNESCO and others have done in 2023, since the ChatGPT and OpenAI is exploding into the users and the learners, is they talk about AI literacy. So we have to make sure everyone, every learner who is, so this is, by the way, those who are in education, you will know this is the 21st century learner framework, where we had different aspects of learner. But now that AI is part of this learning process, we'll have to also include AI literacy into it. So AI literacy basically means understanding the basics of AI and its applications, critically assess AI systems and their societal impact, aware of ethical implications of AI. It's not about just knowing how to use AI, but also to understand its impact on people and also understands its limitations and implications. Right? So these are things that are coming into picture. At the same time, the same UNESCO report, I think it's mentioned it here, UNESCO report on AI guidelines for education, it also education type of training and so on. It also talks about how the three basic pillars of usual education system, which is reading, writing, arithmetic, you had to go beyond. So it's no longer just literacy, which is the first three, but you also had to think about AI literacy. When you say AI literacy, I mentioned things, but at the same time, everything that we do had to people, we had to include other aspects like empathy, creativity, and critical thinking into the learners. So these are things that are being discussed, and I hope all of us will take this more seriously and understand its implications and how we can integrate them into people. And I mentioned about plagiarism earlier. So we'll have to do some redefining of what plagiarism is. Like I told you, AI generated content, whether it is plagiarism or not. So far we are in a view it's not. But then how do we differentiate? How do we decide where to let people or learners to use AI and not the users to use AI, and when to not, and those things we had to have proper dialogue and figure out how to do. So in fact, publishers and publication related agencies are already taking steps. Now, for example, all the publication agencies are proposing this is how you can use AI. There are a responsible way of using them, and this is how you can integrate it. These are the transparent way of reporting and so on. So these are things that are already happening. Those who are having concern about assessments, like in classes, in situations, in classrooms, courses, modules, programs, we had to find other ways of adapting. Like I told you, if I decide to use AI or let people to use AI, I had to have certain ways of assessing. If I say, okay, don't use AI, then there's the tools alone won't support. That is what I told you, that the tools, what the problems with the tools is the tools are rigged as well, because the tools are trained on certain type of people and won't work for others, right? So we had to work on those as well. In fact, in 2023, this paper was released on AI assessment scale, and there's a lot of work done around it. I think I have mentioned it somewhere. Yeah. So there's a website called AIassessmentscale.com, which talks about a few papers and related items. This was the AI assessment scale. If you see, it's a 5-scale rubric where we have how AI can be integrated into an assessment. Assessment could be anything starting from a homework to a paper that is published, peer review. Right? It can be anything in between. Right? So how, when there's no AI, what do we do? When we decide, okay, we are not allowing AI, what do we do? Up to what do we do when we have full access or allow full access to AI in the work that we are going to assess? When I say assess, it could be just a homework somewhere, or it could be something like a research paper that is written and submitted for publication, reviewing the paper. So it could be anything in between. This is a bit outdated, by the way, by now. So the way how AI develops and how things go so far, this is from 2023, right? Like I told you, almost 2.5 years later, or 2+ years later, this is the latest one that is in that website. All this history is there. And here you can see the things have evolved a bit. For example, now the highest level is no longer full AI, but called AI exploration, which means now we think if human and AI can come together, we can do better than just full AI. Exploration meaning AI can add value to what you do. Earlier we thought AI can just automate, AI can just help us do things faster. But can AI do things better with people is the approach for the 5th layer now. So this is the assessment scale. So these are things that are happening in different places. Sustainability, I scared you with all these numbers for emails, power usage, water usage, and so on. But it's not always that bad. The same report also talks about the positive side of it, where how I can use AI for sustainability and how do I sustain AI. These are other ways. There are things that we had to see the full picture. What I was showing you is one side actually. So the full picture is, here is one example, right? So you can see the two graphs, the two bars. One is when I use AI, what's happening to the, how much AI negatively impact is in orange color, and how AI can make things better. For example, if I have an agriculture situation where I'm going to not use AI and use AI. If I use AI, obviously I'm going to use more power for AI and I'm going to do various other things, right? So I'm going to need like more systems, more electronic devices and whatnot. So it's going to be inhibit the sustainability of the system. But at the same time, those systems are going to make things faster, better, more produce, and so on. Those are the positive sides. In fact, there are several reports. So this was reported in Springer Nature. Reports that shows with AI use, things are getting better. Yes, there are negative aspects, but the positive aspects outperform. There are a number of studies that are done to show it. Even including e-waste. There are studies done by certain companies who are showing now with AI automatically figuring out what to do with the e-waste. Can it be redistributed to some other places? Can it be reused? Can it be refurbished? So these automatic systems can make things better. A more better example is this. I think this will give you a better picture what's happening with AI and not AI. Right? So the graph here shows carbon footprint for text writing, 1-page document. If you take 1-page document and if you write, how much carbon footprint you generate. The one here says human from US writing 1 page. They consume the most amount of carbon for writing 1 page. US people are not that fast. Yeah, so the next one, so you can see why it's so much, because in US, if somebody is writing, they are in an office, they spend time, they keep a computer on, they keep an air conditioner on or a heater on, and they sit and write for 1 page. The same page, if you are writing in India or maybe Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, they can write it a bit faster. Or we don't cool the place so well. We don't spend so much of energy and power. But carbon footprint less. But look at ChatGPT, writing the same thing. It's going to be much faster because, like things are done faster. Yes, people are sitting and doing it, but it's done faster. When it's done faster, the carbon footprint is going to be lower because the longer you sit and do things, it's going to take more time. So this is another way of looking at what's going on with a little more better picture. I'm not saying this is the complete picture, right? So there are other things. For example, we say, right, so when we do things at efficient, the extra time we are going to do more things, right? I don't know whether it's good things, bad things, play games, sit and talk, whatever, right? So those things also are in the picture, but this is like an extended picture than what I showed you earlier. So these are things that show you these tools are not always one. I mean, the effects are not just one-sided, they are both sides. I'll finish with a few more items on Engage, like how we can positively look at it. I already have mentioned some. In fact, I think this has been already discussed by earlier as well, because these are the things that we are trying to do. One, even things like personal education, we can use. I hope you know about the Benjamin Bloom study. Those who have in education, you would know. There's this 2 sigma problem where we don't have enough teachers, right? So we don't have enough teachers. If we have enough teachers, we can make students to perform really well. That's what this study says. And now all these chat bots, the trainer tools are doing this. I know like even NREN is developing a number of tools to support teachers, educators, researchers on how we can do things well, including chat bots and so on. Now even tools like ChatGPT has what is known as study and learn, which has a part where learners can use these tools. So it's not only for students, but also for teachers, like all of us use these tools as well, right? So to prepare presentation, lesson plans and whatnot, right? In fact, this is a study done in US on teachers. On average, they spend about 50 hours per week on work, US teachers. But out of this, half of the time they spend on interacting with the students. The other half of the time they spend on other things. Like, for example, they spend 10 hours or 50 hours for preparation. They spend 5 hours for administration. They spend about 3 hours for professional development, evaluation, and feedback, 6 hours. Tremendously improved using AI tools is what this, not just AI, this was like every other digitalization tools. In fact, this study talks about 20 to 30% of the time can be saved by using these tools. You can see where the reallocated times are coming from: administration work, preparation work. Those are places where half of the time can be reduced, and that time can be spent with students. Right. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, AI tools can also help personalized education tools themselves, but at the same time, the teachers can save their time doing non-engaging or non-productive time to bring back to students. Right? So these are things that we can do with AI tools. That's exactly why we are having these sort of things. And productivity is what we all are doing, and there's a lot we can do with that. So I'll not go into detail. And now with AI tools, it has become so easy to do data-driven decisions, right? So decision making using data, now it becomes so easy. Earlier, we'll have to take the data and run it through tools. Those tools only few people have access to, no, others will not know how to use. Now with AI, it's possible to take data, give it to several different type of tools. I have just mentioned a couple of them. These are popular data analysis AI tools, which you can use with prompts, right? So you can just ask the tool, do this, do a trend analysis or trend forecasting, do a correlation analysis. All this you can just ask the tool to do, right? The 2 tools I have mentioned here is PowerDrill and Julius. There's a long list. You can use these tools to do data analysis. With the data analysis, you can make data-driven decisions. You don't just decide out of your intuition, but you look at data and decide. So these are all possibilities. To conclude, I hope you have seen this graph earlier, maybe upside down or some other direction. This is from World Economic Forum, the Future of Jobs Survey from 2024. It was released in 2025. We'll get a new report this year. So this talks about the job stability, right? So by 2030, the expectation is we'll have about 90 million jobs, 90 million jobs which are in the purple color get destroyed. about 200 million or 170 million, double the number of jobs created. The only concern why we are so had to be worried about is in an economy like ours, where are we going to be? Where is our jobs going to be? Right? So are we going to be in the blue, which is okay? Are we going to be in green or purple? So we should make sure we are not in the purple boxes. That's why all these sessions matter and we keep doing. And the core skills by 2025 identified by the same report has a list of 26 skills. I just wanted to highlight the top 10. If you look at the top 10 skills, most of them are things that we earlier considered as side or soft skills. Things like resilience, flexibility, agility, leadership, social influence, empathy, active listening, curiosity, lifelong learning, talent management. Some of them are technical, but most of them are not. So these are things that are identified as most important skills for this age. So we'll have to be up to date and make sure our programs, what we do with our learners and researchers, align with these skills so that we can go forward and not be in the purple boxes, but green or blue. These are some tools that I mentioned, but there are many. Just why I put this slide is to tell you there's not a single tool for all use, right? So there are different tools for different use, and different tools have different ways of like compartmentalizing the knowledge base. For example, the AI research assistants are tools that are built specifically on research data, not on public data. So research data will give you proper results, not hallucinated results and so on. So we have to make sure we use the right tool for right use so that we are responsibly using them. And also while we are doing all this, we should also keep in mind what's going on, all what I discussed up to now. And thank you very much for having me. And I know like it's a long stretch of 1 hour and I have given you a lot of information. I'm happy to take some questions. Thank you. Questions? Thank you. So the good idea about finishing at lunchtime is that I don't get any questions and you can go and have your lunch. Questions? Any, not just questions, you can share some comments, your thoughts. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I have mentioned it earlier last day about a concern, that is, if we used to with the AI tools, we and our children and grandchildren, if somehow the AI things like server and other infrastructure is not available, or government or UN ban those things. So as you tell about that thing, that we have to use the AI tools very, what I say, that carefully, so that if we fully depend on the AI tool and we use the shortcut thing, like we get a task and we forward to AI and get the feedback and use it. So what will happen if we fully depend on that and the future? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's a very good question. In fact, like what I'm telling my students, I'm also teaching in a university, what I'm telling my students is when they do this, I'm telling them, take a step back and think about it. Let's say if you are, I'm giving you a work or somebody is giving you a work, you are going to ask an AI tool to give an answer. It's not going to be too long. I'm not going to use you. I will put it to the tool and get the answer. So why are you going to be employable? So I am teaching an engineering program. We have almost 100% employability right now, right? So even before before they complete, they all get employed, right? So the companies come and take them before even they finish. But then if they change that attitude, and if they think, okay, these tools can do this work, not me, that's why they rely on them. So they are going to lose their capacity to do these things. And more importantly, they are not going to be employed, right? Because the companies are smart enough to know that, okay, if you do this. So what I'm telling them to see how they can add value to this process, right? So we had to make that culture. So obviously we had to, whoever is trying this, we had to tell them, okay, this is not going to work, and make sure they understand what is going on, right? So the 90 million people, we don't want to be one of them without job, right? So these tools are there. So that's one side of it. On the other side, what I normally am telling in any place, now that you asked the question as well, is that we use these tools only when you know what the answer is, right? So we can use this tool. So we can use this tool to write an email 5 times faster. But if I don't have the tool, I still can write it. It'll take 5 times faster. But I should still be able to write that email. If I can't write the email and I'm going to use a tool, I don't know the output the tool is giving. I have no way of judging. I should not use the tool, right? So you can use the tool only to make this better, faster, do it faster, quicker, right? So it's a productivity activity where we still have the control on the quality, right? So that's what I keep telling. And that is, I think, where we should go. I hope I gave some answer.
So very good presentation by you. It was inspiring. My question is that the AI tools we are using right now, like ChatGPT, DeepSeek. ChatGPT is US based and like DeepSeek, China based. So they have their own data to train their machines or, I mean, but how about us? I mean, the Asian population. So do you have any plan to build something like, which is more Asian or like to Southeast Asian, if I say? APAN has any plan to lead it or any plan on this?
That's again a really good question. We had to look at, so earlier when we wanted to build an AI system, we build a system. We build a system, we collect data, train the system, do it. Now we are at a stage where we don't really have to build systems. There are open source systems. There are systems of, machine learning models. They are there. So only thing is what we need, what we are lacking is the data. So our countries have very little digitalized, properly organized data, right? So we'll have to work on those. So if you are working on any projects, what you have to do is please don't download data from another country and train on your model, right? So you have to develop data. So if you have enough data, particularly things like just communication language, it's the language data, right? So if you have, so languages like ours considered low resource languages, where there's not enough data, that is where they're called low resource, right? So English is a high resource language, right? So low resource languages, what you have to do is to improve the resource, add more data to our language. How do I add? We have enough history, we have enough data which are already there. One is we had to find projects, ways of digitizing them. The other one is that they are happening now. Whatever is written now, we'll have to figure out how to put them in a way such that they can be used. If you take a country like Sri Lanka, we now have the AI strategy, and where the government is now working on funding researchers, those who are working on language data, to put them to public. Right, so all the public data, even recently there's a project that is happening with some 200 million records of sentences, basically. So some documents, we are going to fund them to take all that and put it to public. So when you put it to public, others can use, not just others, all these tools can also use. Right, so all these tools are going to be, search engines are going to search and find them. These tools are going to get trained on those, the public tools that are like DeepSeek or ChatGPT or whatnot. Right, so there are two sides to it. Whether it is good or bad is another discussion, because these data were prepared by certain people. They have their copyright. They spend so much of effort and money to do it. Now, can we just put it in public and let tools to get trained and earn money? That's one side of it. But if you want our presence in these tools, we'll have to find a way. Right, so certain countries, like rich countries like Singapore, for example, they have their own model. They have everything inside. So for Singapore, for example, is using AI in serious places. They are seeing health, their health ministry use AI tools for a lot of work, even for prescribing, transcribing. Like say, for example, a surgeon doing an operation, normally they had to come and sit and write the report. Not anymore. Right, so they have a tool where you can press a button and do the operation. They talk, like what we're doing, all that is converted and report is generated when the operation is finished. But such things are sensitive data, and what they are doing is they are not using many public tools. So they do all within the country. They have their system, they have all control. Yeah, closed. only for their country. So such things are possible if you are rich enough. Yeah. So until then, we'll have to figure out other ways. Yeah, give me a second.
Thank you, Professor, for your nice presentation and for sharing many more data. We are working for the education community. And it doesn't matter whether we want or don't want. Our students are sometimes much more smarter than us. They are using AI. And according to the formal system, we're being bound to use formative and summative assessment. I'm particularly talking about the assessment systems. And what the students are doing, they are just, sometimes we see misusing these systems. If the assessment system would be like us having practical output from them, that would be the different thing. But right now, what we are being bound, what are being imposed by regulatory agencies, we have to take some formative and summative assessments. And what they're doing, they are just prompting to AI, that is GPT or something else, and they are having their answers and putting it into their answer scripts or assessment sheets or assignments. Even in some exams, we see students are just taking picture of the questions and uploading it to the ChatGPT and recording, please answer all these questions. ChatGPT is providing all the answers. Sometimes we had a check for a law course in an university. The question paper was provided to the ChatGPT for answering. ChatGPT answered all questions in short form. Then the answers have been written by a human in answer script and then evaluated by a human evaluator, and it got 59% marks. So knowing all these, students are also doing this. So how can we develop alternative assessment system to cope up with the advancement of our students? That is being a bigger challenge. Can you please address this issue? Thank you.
Yeah, in fact, a topic like this is had to have a longer conversation. First, we are, like you also have identified, it's a transition period we are in. So education reform has to happen where we have to look at overall, where it's not just the educator, also the psychologist and others. So there are people who are concerned, okay, what if we don't do teaching or learning this way, some other way will our brain work and they develop the same way. So these are a lot of others have to get involved in that bigger discussion and the conversation. But short term, while we are navigating this space, some things that we can do, I just have highlighted this here, right? So one, we had to first decide. In fact, like this is something that we are practicing actually in our places, my modules, others, even our programs, we are taking it seriously and practicing. Is that you take modules and you now have at least identify the assessments and then identify them into the right brackets. Okay, so okay, this assessment, this is the objective, and therefore using AI tools, whether it's okay or not. This assessment, this is the objective, whether you can use AI tool or not. What's the level to use, and so on. You come up with, at least within your modules, you have to come up with the list of assessment, whether it is formative or summative. And obviously formative assessment might be easier because you can have it in like a closed control environment. Summative. Formative one might not be, it's like difficult because it's more open. That's the whole idea. They spend time outside doing, right? So you had to first figure that out, which assessment, what sort of AI engagement we can expect. And then if we expect lower level of AI engagement, we'll have to have a control environment, right? We can't say, okay, this is a low level of AI, don't use AI, go and do it. Obviously, this is what's going to happen, right? So because they are learners and this is a situation where we had to force them in certain places, right? Say, for example, I mean, I can take an example 100 years ago, like calculators, right? So we had calculators 100 years ago, but calculators were allowed only at a certain level. Not the primary kids, all of them had calculators and started using them. It didn't happen, right? So we also had to change our mindset, the culture, so that they know, okay, this is not good for me. I had to do it this way for my benefit, right? So that cultural change we had to make. So while it's happening, one side is this, the other side is the control, right? So the control, we can do it by certain things. I just have listed a couple of them. For example, you can have oral examinations and presentation, and you can also have process focused evaluation, not just the outcome, but you evaluate. In fact, this is what the journals, publishers are doing. What they are saying is, okay, you can do AI generated content, but it is for these things. Okay, if you want to do literature survey, you can do AI generated content, but tell us how you did it. Show the process. This is the prompt I put. This is the place I used. This is what I generated. Attach it as an appendix and the reviewers look at it, right? So you evaluate not just the outcome, but the process. right? So process-based evaluation you can do. And also you can figure out ways of, make it more difficult for students even to use AI, to use it at a level so that they'll think and use, not just use, right? So the not just usage should be very low marks, fail marks. Right? So if you just write like a simple prompt and copy paste and or take a photo and take it, they'll get like fail marks. They'll have to think further and make a better prompt, even if they're using AI. Right? Extend the prompt so that they get better marks. So they should know how to use it, learn how to use this tool better. When they are learning how to use this tool better, they'll also think. They'll also connect things. Right? It's not just you take the question, put it to a chatbot and you get an answer and you get 90 marks. No, it should not happen. So we have to change the way how we formulate the question and what we expect as an outcome from the question. So these are things we can do temporary. Transition period. Like I told you, overall, we'll have to look at a bigger transformation and reform of the education. That's what I think.
Very simple question. The one slide you shared that non-native English, it's got get by AI. So what are the solution for this? This is always problem for us. When we write some things and when we check it, then it's got the similarities and it's gets rejected. So what's the solution?
So the question is about the non-native English writing AI tool, the AI detectors like Turnitin AI, for instance. They are finding it as AI generated, right? So the solution is to generate more data. The same thing what I told you earlier, right? So we had to have enough of our data, local data, and put them out so that these tools, even Turnitin is using a database, which is scraped from a lot of places in the internet and others. So it will take some time. So again, I see things like catching people using AI as a temporary measure. Why so is because we are talking about two different AI systems. An AI system we build, chatbots, they can generate text as good as people, right? We are putting millions and billions of dollars to develop that system. And then we are building another system that says, okay, go and find it, right? So in fact, like the second system, we are not putting that much of money now. The more money is going into building AI tools that can be like human, not the opposite, not the other one, right? So therefore, it's a race. It's a good race, a healthy race if it is, because you build better detector, you build better, then those who are building the AI tools chatbot will make it better. Yeah, virus and antivirus. So at one point, we are going to reach a place where it's going to be better than human writing. Then these tools are going to be useless, right? So it's a temporary race.
Professor, thank you so much. I have another question. Last week, I finalized all of my papers to be submitted to a QN journal. And the journal requires for having Turnitin report, similarities report, as well as AI generated report. But for sure, I haven't used a single pod from AI. Even after that, it is showing 10% similarities, but 34% AI generation. I don't know whether my colleagues are experiencing this or not. Then what to do? Turnitin official version I am using on behalf of my universities. I haven't picked a single word for preparing that article, but Turnitin shows 34% AI generated. So in that case, in that situation, what can we do?
I mean, you can't do much. Only thing is you have to talk to the publisher and say we didn't use it and the tool is showing it like this, because there are evidence, right? That's what actually this has happened. The graph I was showing you earlier is yeah. So the tool the graphs I was showing earlier. Yeah, this one, right? So you can see. So here, TOEFL place says people who study for TOEFL exams and went and wrote essays. These tools, Turnitin is not here in this comparison, but other tools, they are showing some 70 to 50%. So these are people generated content, AI detection tools identify as AI, right? So one tool is identified as 76% AI generated. Your one is at little better. It says 30%, right? So what you can do, obviously, yeah, so I mean, this is both sides, right?
But with having that report, I am not being able to submit my article even. No, you had because they're asking for submitting AI generated report from Turnitin as well, along with my.
Yeah, you can write to them and say, you are discriminating us, like, because our English writing, the tool is doing this. I think you have to write to the editors and have a conversation.
For the report, he should be happy.
Yeah, he's what is better.
It's a bit Americanized.
Yeah, more Americanized. Yeah, correct. Okay. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Americanized ways.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm asking you that what about the AI safety policy? Because the Godfather of Jeff Hilton always warned us about the use of safe AI, and the people like other researcher who was OpenAI and then they establish another company to work on the safe AI. So does Europe has some policy, I think AI safety policy on how to use the AI, but the country like us, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, we don't talk about AI safety. We just use it as much as possible and gain as much as possible from the AI. But at the same time, we had report that children suicide talking to AI and get addicted to AI, and then AI provoke the children to get suicide. So, and we don't have any policy like in Bangladesh or South in Asia. I don't know about anything, but we think we should think about it. And do you have any idea about how to do that kind of thing, and regional policy, or maybe policy for the country, so that we can control somehow? But I don't know how to control it, because if you prompt and they can give answer, but somehow you need to control it. I don't have any idea, but we should some tune to control it, but I don't know how. But you have anything to comment on that?
Yeah, two sides. One, even now the AI tools are controlled, right? So they are not producing all outputs that they generate. So there are ways in which the control is already happening globally, right? So there is control. There is fine tuning of the control happening, meaning you can't just go and ask a bad thing and it gives you an answer, right? It blocks you. So, but then there are ways of going around it, right? So those are also there. So that's one side from the tool side. But institute like a country's economy is what we are trying to do. Like you said, Europe is very serious about policies and frameworks, and they have done it. And countries like Japan is a very good example where they have developed a guideline or a policy for anyone who is developing an AI tool or using and developing an AI tool. These are the things you have to make sure. Right? So like I told you, I'm just mentioned, maybe it was very fast. What I said was, if an engineer building an AI tool for anything, like they can use any other tool and build something on top of it, something they are building, they have to make sure now the users know the implications of using these tools. What does it mean by uploading a file? I am putting a photo here. What does it mean? These are things that users, the user interfaces have to have ways of communicating this information with the user. So that's one side. The other side is policies and strategies. Yes, even I'm not sure what's happening in Bangladesh, but in Sri Lanka, I'm also in a committee where we have developed a policy, national strategy and policy, and now we are going to make it a law. So it's going to be part of our Data Protection Act, which can be, it's part of the law, meaning like you can, if there's a problem, you can go to the police, or you can complain and go to the jurisdiction, and all that you can do. So these are things that we had to do, both sides. One, those who are developing already have some responsibility they are taking, because they are developed in certain countries. Those countries have their regulations, and that is their one. The next thing we are also discussing is, can countries, if you are like a larger country with a lot of influence, you can also tell the AI supplier, whoever is the public, like Google or OpenAI or others, whatever they are giving to us, right? So we can make sure that is given in a way that's sensitive to us, right? So because countries have their cultures and sensitivities and whatnot. So these are things the government has to do. In fact, like I told you, in Sri Lanka, we are working on a policy like a law like that. We already have a policy which are making into law, so that anybody who is working there, I mean, who is having access to Sri Lankan people will have those obligations. So those are things that has to happen. Yes, I agree. Thank you for asking that question. Are we okay? Done. Shall I finish? Okay, thank you very much for having me, and